The Pentagon has announced a strategy overhaul, making changes to the military's drone program to reduce civilian casualties. Earlier, I spoke to Sky News US contributor Michael Ware about the significance of the move and what the changes mean.
Well, in some sense, nothing, but in another sense, everything. Because let's face it, the law of war has not changed, and it's still illegal to target civilians in a conflict or civilian infrastructure. Now, that said, we as Western militaries do, unfortunately, from time to time, kill civilians. But there's very strict legal parameters that guide us on those awful, awful moments. Now, what the US has done has brought in a whole new policy that institutionalises the mitigation of civilian harm and responses to it. They've set up entire new structures, not just for drone strikes, but for all operations. And they've now created new processes and an entire centre as a hub for gathering real information on real civilian casualties, so the Americans say that they can try and learn from their mistakes and improve. They're putting civilian harm officers in operational commands, and they're creating cells to continue gathering this data and creating processes for people outside the US military to more easily report allegations or claims of civilian harm. So what they're doing is they've institutionalised what's been happening ad hoc on the battlefield.
What difference do you expect this policy to make? Will we see hundreds of lives saved?
You'd like to think. I mean, look, I have to say, there are terrible moments. There are dreadful mistakes. But I've watched the US and Australian militaries bend over backwards, twist themselves into pretzels to avoid killing civilians. I've seen so many shots not taken, so many bombs not dropped. So we are already desperately trying to protect civilian life. One of the things, however, that this new system will do is that it will make combat commanders more directly accountable. So it's not just a cowboy who will give the order to drop the bomb on that village or on that car regardless, but it will also hold even responsible commanders more accountable. So, yeah, let's hope this does save some lives. But, you know, even the most liberal doves in the security and military community say, you know, we will still kill civilians. And it's just an unfortunate part of war. It's part of the nature of war.
In your view, does this policy go far enough? Do more changes need to be made?
Oh, this is pretty robust. And in many ways, I wouldn't call it revolutionary, but this is a seismic shift. Look, I'm telling you, okay, once upon a time, it used to be said that within the army, the role that was most deployed on every deployment overseas was the pay officer or the pay clerk. Now it's the lawyers. It's defense lawyers, because it's almost at the point, and it virtually is at the point, where fighter jets will be above a target in Syria or Afghanistan or in Africa, and the final person to give the go, no-go order is a lawyer, because they have to test all those parameters around the law. And then, of course, there's the moral element. We don't want to kill women and children. I mean, that hurts. That stays with you forever, even if you're just watching it on a video screen as a drone operator or as a lawyer. But like I said, we have done it. When we killed the man who created the Islamic State back in 2006, we dropped two 500-pound bombs on the house where he was sleeping, knowing that there was a wife and two children in that house, and we just had to do it, and that was lawful. So I think this goes a long way. I mean, this is forcing the US military, or the military forcing itself, to learn and adapt and to create new structures.
Do you think some people may view it as still too little, too late?
Well, of course they will, but most of those people haven't been to war. And look, anyone who's been to war has seen this kind of thing. And, there was an American think tank called RAND that did a report a couple of years ago that led to this new policy. And they discuss how much effort the Americans make to avoid this, and how the Americans try to admit when they know they've got it wrong. I mean, there's a thing called condolence payments, where the US military, when it realizes that, yes, it has killed civilians, depending on the culture, depending on the circumstance, will pay that family. I mean, I remember in Iraq, you say you can't put a price on human life. Well, in Baghdad, it was $2,500 because if you could show that one of your relatives was killed during an operation inadvertently, that's literally what the Americans would pay you at the gate to their base.
Wow.
Or if you received a chit from a battalion commander or someone in charge of an operation to show that, yes, we damaged your shop or we had to bash down your gate, here's a chit, you would go to the base, show up, present the chit and get compensation for that.
Michael, before I let you go, you say this is a seismic shift. Do you think we're going to see any cultural changes as a result of it?
Well, like I said, no one likes killing women and children.
Of course.
I mean, I personally haven't watched American units going out of their way to kill women and children. What's the culture to shift? There may be some looseness in the latitude when it comes to drones or bombs, particularly because they're such a standoff kind of weapon. But even there, if you look at the way the Americans just killed the leader of Al-Qaeda, Ayman al-Zawahiri, they're using a Hellfire-style missile called the R9X that is designed, it doesn't have an explosive in its warhead, but just before it hits its target, it pops open into 6 razor blades that just punches through that person and any wall or any roof of any vehicle. So the Americans have actively developed weapons where they can take out precisely the person they want to take out and only that person. So I'm not sure how much of a culture there is to shift.
Okay, Michael Ware, appreciate your insights this afternoon. Thank you so much.
Thank you.